Well, hello again. This is Tom Lenz, and so you made it through week one. Good job. So we're on the second module, and so what I thought we would do here again, just we'll keep this consistent from week to week like this, but just is discuss a little bit about what we just talked about, a little bit about of where we're going, and so the first module was about laying a foundation for what lifestyle medicine is and how it fits in the context of our healthcare system. So as you have an appreciation for now in a bit of ways is how our healthcare system works in general, what the Affordable Care Act is attempting to do regarding prevention, and a bit about how we're doing as a nation. That may be surprising to you. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it's like the shock and awe. We're spending a whole lot of money and our outcomes are not that great, which lays a great foundation for us to say, why? That's part of the questions that hopefully you're asking. Why is it like that? Why are we spending so much money? Why are our outcomes not where we want them to be? What are other countries doing that we're not? Spending less money, having better outcomes. So those are all really important foundational components as you make your way into the program, as you make your way into this course. Some of the other things too that I hope to give perspective on for this as we get going are what the social determinants of health are. This is something we're going to come back to again and again throughout the program because this is what it's built upon, and that we spend a lot of our money and a lot of our time only addressing a small percentage of factors that determine our health. So we should probably be steering our attention to somewhere else. And this is really the reason for this program. The program was designed, was initially conceived to meet a social need. Both the undergrad Healthy Lifestyle Management degree and the master's Health and Wellness Coaching degree. And I think the article that talked about the closing the gap in a generation of health equity through actions of social determinants of health is a good one to get us on that same page. And if you're not familiar with the term equity, you probably heard it before, but do we know what it is and what it means? This is a great picture to kind of give you an idea of what the differences are between equality and equity. And sometimes people look at equity as meaning justice. Okay, and we can use either term, whichever you feel comfortable with. But look at the picture here under equality. Everybody gets the same thing. So everyone has, say, healthcare. Okay, so that's what the Affordable Care Act primarily is trying to do. Is to get everyone covered. Okay, so, but saying that everything is equal across the board for everyone really doesn't help everyone, right? So you can see then when you talk about equity, the difference is equity gets people what they need. Equality gives everyone the same thing and assumes everyone is equal. But equity or justice gets people what they need and what they need to thrive in their lives. So that type of theme will continue to come up, and this is what we talk about meeting a social need for the purpose of this program. And so when we talk about working with someone in say a health coaching situation, we're not talking about getting people, every person we talk with, the same thing. What we do is look at each person as a unique individual, and we address whatever they need and their uniqueness to move forward. And so how we refer to that in the program is something we call whole person health. There's a couple foundational concepts that would be good to understand as you get rolling in the program. The one is whole person health. So we use those words carefully in meaning that we're talking about the whole of the person. Sometimes when people say, so this is holistic health, and I guess you could, if that makes sense to you, yes, you can use that. For other people, holistic health means using herbal therapies and that type of thing. I'm not saying that's bad. We just don't talk about it in here. That's not part of our program. But we look at the whole of the person, and that means whatever that person needs to thrive and to have the fullest sense of well-being for that individual, and that's what we focus on. So it might be physical, it might be emotional, mental, spiritual, financial, whatever the case may be. Another important concept that we will talk about, and I want you to kind of think about and reflect on what this means, is the notion of tinkering. So when we put the program together for someone, with someone is a better way to say it. So and this is something that you'll do in here for yourself, but when we do a lifestyle medicine program with someone, it's very specific to their needs. And something to keep in mind is this notion of tinkering as you're starting and as you're moving through this with the individual. And think of a car mechanic. When the car is working, but they make a little adjustment here and a little adjustment there to make it run even better as they move forward. And that's the same way we think about lifestyle medicine and working with an individual. We help them with an initial program: exercise, nutrition, sleep, stress, alcohol, tobacco, whatever it is. Get them connected with financial resources, spiritual resources, whatever that is. But that's not the end of it. That's really just the beginning. And then through another concept we use called relational care, developing this long-term relationship with someone through subsequent encounters with the individual, we do a little tinkering here and a little tinkering there, not for the purpose of trying to make things perfect, because perfection is something that I think we really overuse and perhaps over strive for, as in our medical care system, our capitalistic society that we live in the United States. And it gives people the false notion that I can be perfect, I should be perfect, and then that leads to a whole other issues that are really not healthy. And so tinkering is really a better way to look about it, because we use reflection when we tinker. What we're doing, how is that working? What's working, what's not? Let's make a little adjustment here, a little adjustment there, and see how it goes, and then keep moving forward in a positive way as time goes. So whole person health, tinkering, relational care as opposed to transactional care, as we've talked about perhaps in the last module, that much of our healthcare system is a series of transactions, and what we want to do is move towards more relational care as opposed to transactional care. And then the fourth concept is something that we call self-care, and self-care has a couple of different components too. Of course, self-care meaning taking care of ourselves, okay, because we feel like if we're going to help people with their own well-being, we've got to be good at home before we're good away. And that's an important component that's really lacking in our healthcare system now, is that the healthcare providers themselves are missing that component of self-care. One of the things to keep in mind here that's really important with how we look to self-care is pretty broad, in that it's very important for us to achieve good self-care that we're actually relying on our community and social support systems to do that. This isn't self-care in the way a lot of Americans might think of it in a term that's sometimes used called neoliberalism, where we kind of are mavericks, right? I mean, I can do everything myself. I'll put it all on myself. Just, I'm independent. I don't need other people. But in fact, we really do. And self-care in the way we look at self-care means we're going to care for ourselves, but part of that is recognizing the importance of community in the care for myself. So we all rely on our social support within our community to have the fullest sense of well-being. So those are really four foundational philosophical principles that we use in the Health and Wellness Coaching Program and the Center for Health Promotion and Wellbeing as the overarching for the two academic programs we have, that of Healthy Lifestyle Management and Health and Wellness Coaching. The other parts that were covered in Module 1 talk about a bit of background about Creighton as it being an Ignatian institution, and who St. Ignatius is and what Ignatian spirituality means, who are the Jesuits, and perhaps that isn't new to you, but maybe it is, and it's important for you to kind of understand that context, because this is the philosophical principles that I just talked about are very aligned with that, and so that's important to have a handle on, or at least to be somewhat familiar with. The last one, at least last in the list of that's in the syllabus, is the article that came out in 2014 talking about lifestyle medicine and its ability to reverse chronic disease epidemics. And that really is a great foundational article because it's international. This is a collaborative piece put together by the leaders of lifestyle medicine and international leaders. And so it's important for us to read that and to kind of understand what's the scientific literature that's behind all of this. And so then that gives us a good launch into the Module 2. So Module 2 then gets into the first 8 chapters in the book, and these would be what I refer to as core elements. Well, at least the first chapter is an introduction, but then chapters 2 through 8 are core elements in lifestyle medicine. So behavior modification, which I refer to as it being the rate-limiting step. You can have a great exercise program for somebody, but if you don't understand what some health behavior modification theories and techniques are, then that is, the program isn't going to be successful. Now, of course, you have a whole class in behavior modification, so in this course it's just touched on, and you'll of course dive into that in a great deal of depth in the course that you take specific to that. And we have physical activity and healthy eating. Again, we have a much deeper dive into courses that for those, and we have sleep and stress. Again, those are combined in another course. And then alcohol and tobacco in here. And tobacco, just so you know, is actually covered in part of the health behavior modification course. So this lays, again, foundational information to build upon as what are the core elements of lifestyle medicine. A lot of things could be included in lifestyle medicine, but those are the things that we feel are important for this particular course in this program. One of the things that's also important to clarify, and hopefully you'll get appreciation for this as we move on, is that lifestyle is, as we define lifestyle, as I define lifestyle, is very broad. Lifestyle includes these components that are in the book and in the first 8 chapters, but it also includes a lot of other things on how you live your life. That would be the broadest sense of the term lifestyle, and that's how we look at it here. Whole person health includes the broadest sense of the term of lifestyle, the broadest sense of the term of health, because all of it is interconnected. And this is something also that you will hopefully get an appreciation for is that we are moving in the opposite direction of reductionism. Reductionism, if you're not familiar with the term, is something where if you're a reductionist, you think that if somebody has diabetes, it's just because their blood glucose isn't managed right. If you are on the opposite side of that, you would understand that there's a lot of interconnections that go into not having appropriate blood sugar levels. So it includes personal health behaviors, it includes the social environment, it includes the physical environment that an individual lives in. And so this program is very much, it goes in with the whole person health philosophy, in that there's a lot of related and interconnected pieces that lead to an outcome. So you can't just look at an outcome as it being one solution to solving that problem. That isn't. I think that's pretty clear, and I think the evidence that you read through in Module 1 showed you that. We have a very reductionistic healthcare model, and our outcomes are very much indicative of that type of philosophy. So that's kind of where we were and where we're going, where we are so far. So again, if you have any questions, shoot me an email or pick up the phone. I'd be happy to chat more about this. But I hope the class is going well and you're enjoying it so far. And keep up the good work, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks.